Hello, we're gonna roast some Mexican coffee. Good Mexican beans, you got some good citrus acidity in there, and you want it to be sweet and citrus. So you wanna go fast, but in order to get that sweetness to develop, you have to stretch out a certain part of the roast. But I want them to stay really bright and nice. So 392 is the finish temp we're going for, and we're going to make this middle phase stretched out to bring the sweetness out. So let's roast. I think we'll roast I'm gonna do like a 12-pound batch of green. You lose, a certain amount of weight when you roast. So you put in 12 pounds, you're gonna get less than that out, maybe 11 pounds. Some people roast specific to loss. So they're like, I roast to lose 9 to 13% or 15 to 18%. And that percentage of loss is directly correlated with roasting. It's directly correlated with development. And you can get a good idea of flavor. In order to do something like a 10% moisture loss, you're roasting very fast and you're roasting to a very low temperature. When you roast very fast and to a very low temperature, the one thing that you won't have in that cup of coffee is going to be much body. It won't be filled out very much, but the brightness will be very forefront with a thin tea-like body, which, man, there's a whole lot of people who love that. So this coffee, I think I want sweetness. I want it to be there. So what I know about this bean is to get sweetness, you got to push it. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to push right away. I'm going to pull the flame back so that it's a heavy push, and then it's going to slowly, I'm going to continue to push it. It just won't be as hard as the initial push is going to be the most fierce. I'm going to keep pushing it up until yellowing. And that's when I'm going to just start dialing it back pretty fast, the flame back, to stretch out that second phase. Once it gets into the second phase, once it's yellowing, I'm going to stretch that out, and then it's going to enter in first crack, and I'm going to just let it coast and drop it. So let's get this thing started. Mexico, 12 pounds, 393 for start temp. I'm going to do 50% air. Airflow, man, there's a question for you. What do you do for airflow? Airflow changes so much of flavor. And hey, what's up, man?
Are you guys open? Please say yes.
What do you need? That's the question. Coffee, brewed coffee?
Yeah.
I'm in the middle of just about to start a roast. So here you go, brother.
Oh my God. That would be fantastic.
Look at this. It's meant for you. Dude, I hope this helps you out.
Oh, dude, this is it. That's all I need. I appreciate
Have a good one, man. Take care. I should lock that door. Yeah. Okay, so we're talking about airflow. When you open your airflow, you got to turn up more heat, which again, that's a style of roasting, and everybody's got their own style. So here, I'm doing 50% airflow, and I'm going to feel out the temperature to start with. So start. Like I said, these Mexican beans, they like to have some high heat put on them right away, but then you got to back off. Can't push them too hard, too fast. So I'm going to do 5 inches of flame. Now what I'm looking for here is just the turnaround. So our environmental temperature has already begun to turn around. So I know there's a lot of flame. Within like 45 seconds, I'm already increasing my roaster, like the drum temperature is already increasing. So I'm going to begin to pull it back, and I'm going to do this steady, slow pull back. And I got to be sure that trying to find the balance between keeping enough flame. So I need it to stay hot. I got to keep pushing, but I got to pull it back enough that I'm not pushing it too hard. Because if you push beans too hard, you get off flavors, especially in these lower temp roasts. So I went down to 4 inches of flame, 1 minute, 20 seconds, 196 for bean temp, 416 for environmental temp, and I went down to 4 inches of flame. Most people, a lot of people, I don't know, they're using a computer to keep track of their profiles, like their roasts, which, man, that's handy. I personally like to keep track of everything, and I like to record the stuff because it demands that I am synthesizing the information within my own brain versus a computer doing it. Now, why would that matter? Well, my opinion is when my brain has to crunch these numbers in time and understand how this is moving, I have a different grasp of what is occurring. I have a different understanding of what these numbers mean, and I can feel it out more, and that's how I like to roast. So let's just check back in. We're at 3 minutes into the roast. I'm at 233 for the bean temp and 434 degrees for the environmental temp, and I brought it down to 3 inches of flame. Now, if you check this out, our environmental temperature is like really, it's not barely increasing right now, which I want it to continue to increase, but I did need to pull it back because now we're going to begin to do this maneuver with the machine, with what we're doing with our flame. We're beginning this to make it so that in a couple minutes, what's going on inside of this drum is going to stretch out and really like develop the beans. I'm just thinking of development in terms of once these beans begin to do this reaction, see how they're beginning to turn yellow. You can still see the green bean kind of coloring in there, but you can see the Maillard reaction has begun. From here forward, we're developing the beans. Like how are we developing them? How long are they in there? How cooked are they from the outside to inside? That's development, and that's beginning at this point. Here we go. Like there's still a little green bean, they still look a little green to me, so I'm not going to call them yelling yet, but 4 minutes, 55 seconds, 300 degrees for the bean temp, 447 for the environmental temp. And now I'm just feeling it out. I'm listening to the air. I'm feeling out the pressure of the fuel, of the flame. And I want this thing to coast. So I'm listening. It's just about to start changing its tone as I go down right here. 316, 447. So 531, 316, 447. I went to 1.2 inches. So I made a drastic drop from 3 inches to 1.2 inches on my flame. I'm watching my environmental temp. Look at it, it's plummeting, which is what I want it to do. But now I'm going to catch it by increasing my flame. I'm going to catch that drop. It's still decreasing, which I'm happy with. And in just a second here, you're going to see this thing stop decreasing, and it's going to turn around and begin increasing again. When it does that, I'm going to bring my flame down, because what I'm trying to do, my environmental temperature is increasing and increasing, and then I started leveling it off, and now I brought it down, and I'm going to just bring it right up again. I'm going to find this spot where the environment is going to stay really steady, and these beans are going to follow behind. They're going to increase in how fast they're going up in temperature, and they're going to begin to have this nice, soft, smooth coasting out to 392 finish roast temp. So check it out. It has begun to increase now. Again, it's turned around. The environmental temperature has turned around, is increasing. I'm going to bring my flame back down a little bit, find a nice equilibrium, a balance between these two, increasing and decreasing. I'm watching my bean temperature, and I'm going, all right, I'm increasing by 0.3. 0.2, 0.4, 0.3, 0.3, 0.3, 0.3. Cool. But this is my rate of rise. Like, how fast am I going? And this is telling me, are we holding steady with our environment, or what are we doing? It's holding steady just like I want it to do. What happens is there's endotherm, which is the beans are actually pulling in. They're pulling in heat to them from the environment, and exothermy is they're pushing off heat and gas and all that stuff. Right before first crack happens, they pull in heat. I like to keep that environment just before first crack happens. I like to have my environment not be changing because the beans themselves are doing this huge change where they're pulling in energy, and then first crack happens and they're going, and they push out heat, they push out gases. It's like this huge, and now you hear it, it's happening, it's beginning to happen. So 820, 374 for temperature, 443 for environmental temperature. I'm calling that first crack. Watch these beans, you're gonna see them pop. You hear that one? I have 10 more degrees that I'm trying to go with these, and I wanna stretch this out a little bit. So how I roast is I have the idea of where I'm trying to get to, a low temp, a high temp, what range of temperatures. Maybe this one I specifically want 392, but sometimes it's a 395 to 400, or it's some range. I'm not super specific at all times. As I get closer to the finish, then I begin using, I look at them and I watch them, I listen, I'm smelling what's going on, and I wait for the moment that I like, because sometimes I'm smelling and I'll smell off flavors that I don't like, or I know I have to keep going, or like this one, that's what I'm looking for. So 392, 9 minutes and 52 seconds. Now when I look at my third phase, which was like the beans began first crack, to which point I dropped them. Third phase, people call that development. How long was the development? That was a 1 and 32-second development. Some people go as fast as 45-second development. Some people will stretch it out to 6 minutes development. Obviously, those are completely different roasts, completely different flavor sets. But a 1 and 30 that's a quick development. That's pretty fast. I want this to be like really a kicking cup of coffee. I don't want this to be like super mellow, but I needed sweetness. I needed caramelization, even if it's at a lower temp. And I got that by making that move where I pulled the flame back and stretched out that, I stretched it out once the yellowing began to happen. And that will give you more body and then a shorter development time to keep it bright. So yeah, I can't wait to drink this one.